I'm just gonna say it. We need a prequel to Caught Stealing starring Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio as Hasidic hitmen. They made this movie for me. Hey, I'm Mike. I studied film, I work in TV, and I love movies. Caught Stealing is Darren Aronofsky's love letter to 1990s New York City, specifically the East Village. Aronofsky burst onto the scene in 1997 with his directorial debut Pi, which premiered at Sundance, winning him Best Director at the fest. He followed that up with movies such as Requiem for a Dream, The Wrestler, Black Swan, and The Whale, just to name a few. His films are typically dark character studies. At least, that's what I expected going into Caught Stealing, and was a little disappointed that it wasn't. Caught Stealing is based on a novel by Charlie Huston, who adapted the screenplay. It's the first book in a series of novels starring the main character Henry, played by Austin Butler. We follow Henry, who agrees to watch his neighbor's cat, while the neighbor goes back to the UK to deal with his sick father. Unbeknownst to Henry, hidden in the cat's litter box is the key to an obscene amount of money that his neighbor owes to several groups of drug dealers, prompting teams of thugs to come around and collect. As I said, Aronofsky's known for profiling deep, dark characters with burning passions that consume them. His main characters are usually so riveting that we immediately fall into their spell and follow their journey, sometimes into dark places. But Henry's not that deep. Sure, he's carrying around some demons, but it's nothing compared with the bevy of nocturnal creatures that inhabited New York's East Village in the 90s. The gangster Hasidic men, the gun-toting nightclub owner, the attack dog Russian thugs, even Henry's neighbor who sports a tall punk mohawk is more interesting than our protagonist. The East Village in the 90s was a strange place indeed, and when you drop a kid from the suburbs into the middle of that, they tend to get swept up in the chaos, much like Henry. But Henry's not as interesting as Natalie Portman in Black Swan, or Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, or even Brendan Fraser in The Whale. Henry is milquetoast in a sea of tattooed, punk rock, morally questionable fringe dwellers. There are times when the characters seem cartoonish, silly, and we're not used to seeing such one-dimensional characters in Aronofsky films. As I said, Caught Stealing is dripping with 1990s New York City nostalgia. We get a recreated shot in front of Kim's Video, the famous underground video rental store. We hear the familiar CBS-FM sting on the radio, and the characters use their cell phones sparingly so as not to waste all of their minutes. Regina King's character has an entire monologue about a black and white cookie. Black and white cookies are about as New York as pastrami sandwiches and dirty water dogs. Speaking of Regina King, we gotta talk about the cast. As I said, Liev Schreiber and Vincent D'Onofrio steal that goddamn show as a pair of Hasidic hitmen. They shoot up a wedding hall, and it's filmed with all the badassery of the Transporter films. I could have watched 2 hours of just those two doing their thing. Carol Kane was a surprise to me as their mother, Booby. And Griffin Dunne is literally hiding in plain sight as the owner of the bar that Henry works in. If I'm being honest, that one took me a few minutes to clock. I know Regina King is in a lot of iconic films, but I couldn't help thinking of her from 227, the 90s TV show she starred in. And of course, Zoe Kravitz, proving once again she's more than the sum of her famous parents. I was expecting Caught Stealing to bring me back to my East Village days, but if you know New York, you'll probably agree that the East Village is the part of the city that has changed the least, with the exception of Kim's Video closing. It's hard to get nostalgic about a part of the city that still looks like that. Overall, Caught Stealing was more of a period piece from Aronofsky than a character study, which is what we're used to getting from him. It was almost like Aronofsky was trying to make a Guy Ritchie film. I wanted to like it so much. It definitely had its moments, but ultimately, it let me down because of its one-note crime caper feel. Anyway, I'd love to read your thoughts on Caught Stealing in the comments below. Film is about community. I'm Mike, and I love movies.